Michael, how are you? So wonderful to meet you.
So nice to meet you too, Bonnie. Thank you so much for taking the time with me today.
Well, I'm glad I can meet you. This story, my goodness, I was saying to Angie yesterday. I go, it really has stayed with me. I watched it a few days ago, and it really sticks with me. Let's just start at the jump because
Okay.
this is very much based on your real life.
hmm
Let's start with that opening scene, my friend. Could not have been easy to reenact that.
Yeah, I mean, for those who don't know, it opens with a very, tough scene. It's a failed suicide attempt, and that very much comes from my life. Um, and when I told Jay after I met him, after I talked to him for a little while, I told him my story, and I told him, that the only reason why I'm still here is because the belt broke, and I was home about a holiday wait. Little did I know that he was kind of calculating possibly making a movie with me based on that.
Yeah.
Uh, but it honestly is the most beautiful thing in the world to me to take one of my darkest moments in my life and to turn it into this piece of art has truly been a dream come true. And that's the scene itself, shooting that, you know, I have definitely it's been 7.5 years since that happened, and I've worked through that whole
Sure.
process, and I would never suggest doing that if you're 6 months sober. And right, like I think you have to work through that and come out the other side before you can actually make art about it. Um, and I'm just so grateful that Jay took a shot on me and that, that there's also some humor in it. That's the thing that has kept me sober for many years
Yeah.
is that I've found laughter in life. And that is something I've always had, but I've really found it now more in my sobriety.
Well, amazing. And like I said, I'm thrilled and happy and that you're here and that I'm able to talk to you and that, listen, every day is recovery. Doesn't matter,
Oh yeah.
100%. And to be able to find light in the darkness is amazing because it's not easy for many people, right? Connecting with Jay, I mean, I will watch anything that a Duplass brother does. I am obsessed with those two. Jay is an amazing filmmaker, as is Mark. I mean, they're just so talented and so smart, but so honest. And I think maybe that's why you connected with Jay. Can you talk a little bit about that?
100%. I mean, I think the reason why this movie is resonating with people is because of the honesty in it. Um, and I feel like that's what Jay and Mark and everybody over there, they want to make stories that have authenticity. And it's almost like you're watching a documentary of these people,
Right.
you know. And that's very much how Liz and I felt on set as well, was like the cameras aren't really even here and we're just with each other. And I mean, Jay, I've been a fan of his since I moved out to, I mean, we watched Puffy Chair in college, and then
Yeah.
since I moved out to LA, like I remember watching Jeff Lives at Home and Cyrus, like with my roommate Timmy, and I was just like, what is this? Like, what are these movies that they're making that are just so simple but
Yeah.
have so much heart and beauty and, vulnerability in it? And our relationship is crazy how everything has kind of worked out kismically. Like, you know, that he followed me on Instagram and that I reached out to him and and then that we became friends and uh then he wanted to write a movie based on my life
Mm.
um and then and Jay has said this too. This movie wanted to be made so badly. Like there's and I've been on movie shoots and TV shows that you're constantly hitting walls and hitting walls. We were getting green lights with everything. And,
Amazing.
and truly, like, we got so lucky with so much. And, I think it's not only me, but Jay and Liz all needed, like, we kind of all were like, we wanted to be seen. And we feel like we weren't given the opportunity really in this business yet to have that scene. And Jay has, of course, but in the director, it's very much what have you done lately? And he hadn't done a movie in 14 years, so he had to get
Yeah.
back to his roots and make something that, and I just am so happy that this is the thing that he made because I mean, I'm biased, but I love this movie so much, and I love working with Jay Duplass.
Yeah.
Truly one of the best relationships I've ever had in this industry.
Yeah, that's lovely. It's lovely. Can you tell, let's talk a little bit about for you, Michael, it had to have been, I would think, a cathartic experience, but also having that, kind of give and take with Jay. Obviously, it's your story. Yeah, there's obviously, listen, like you say, there's so much humor in it too. And it's good that we can laugh at some of these things. Like, oh, honestly, there was a bunch of that. But how cathartic was it for you? And you saying to him, like, how does that co-writing work when it is based so much on your own life?
Well, I think the thing that I one, it's just so much trust. I trust him with everything. And it is based on my life. It is not my life.
Right.
And I think that's the thing that like, we pulled stories from my life. And it's also we weren't attached to, like making sure that it was exactly the way it happened for me, in the sense of like I've never had an affair with a dentist. But just for story wise, like
Yeah.
let's kind of dive into that.
Yeah.
Um, and you know, Also giving the opportunity to kind of back this movie into locations that we had in Baltimore for free. Like it's a very resourceful movie, and I've never made something like that where it was based on basically like giving Jay 40 places that we possibly had for free, like like I was like, okay, like I think these work.
Yeah.
And getting to write with him, like there was never a bad idea, and again, I felt very much through the writing, through the acting, not so much the producing, but like I had imposter syndrome a lot where I was like, how is this like, is this really real? Like, am I really at Jay Duplass's house? He made me eggs and I'm writing with him. Like, this is
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
I've never imagined that this would be a thing. And he's just such a down to earth person
Right.
that he's not Hollywood, he's very much a working class, you know, comes from a second generation of immigrant parents, and like they had a dry cleaners in New Orleans, and like they're not movie people,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
him and Mark really made it on their own. And the fact that they're so helpful with giving the next generation of voices opportunities, because it's not just, I mean, they've done it with so many people, uh,
Yes.
that it's like, okay, hey, Hollywood, maybe take a look at what these guys are doing because they're really helping out some really authentic voices that, that could be the future of your industry.
100%. And Mark has always been very outspoken about his own mental health, and I'm sure there's a billion people out there that have been helped by him just being so honest and using that with his craft. So kudos to the two of them. Honestly, like I say, I will get coffee on the set for those guys anytime. Like just put it out there, okay?
And that's been so rewarding as well, Bonnie, is that, people have been, I'm getting emotional talking. People have been DMing me after they've seen the movie and are like, you don't realize how much this has helped me with my mental health.
Ding
And
ding. There's the highest praise that you can get, right?
100%,
Yeah,
it's like a stranger's coming to me the same way, like in a different way, actually, that I went to Jay as a stranger, but like, having confidence to say, I struggle with this too. And your movie really helped me realize I'm not alone in this. And
yeah,
especially a lot of men, have this stigma that like you can't talk about your feelings and keep it. I mean, I think certainly it's changed a lot in the last, since probably I was a teenager, and you
sure.
know, but it's still like very much like, you know,
Yeah,
like I mean be a man or whatever that is or whatever. And it's
yeah.
like I think being a man is showing vulnerability and showing, that you
I
struggle,
agree.
you
Yeah,
know.
be honest for sure. Your chemistry with Liz, oh my God, it's so good, and I just love how the relationship grows, and it's just so perfectly done. Had you known her from before, or did you just hit it off like, "Hi, nice to meet you. We're going to be doing these scenes together." It's awesome.
That's the craziest thing, and that's why I'm like, I don't know how Jay is like a guru or wizard, but like, he saw Liz do Transparent the musical in LA
Yeah,
in like 2020, like early 2023.
yeah,
And he went up to her afterwards and he's like, we're gonna work on something together. And she's like, yeah, okay, sure. Um, and then 6 months later, we were casting this role, and um Jay kind of always had in his mind, I think I'm going to ask, because he also wanted to make something that was unstoppable. When you have other, when you attach actors, it can sometimes take forever and all this stuff. He's like, we need to find somebody that's willing to go and will, be on the ground and, can do her own makeup and,
yeah,
just do it. And he met with Liz and they talked about everything but the movie. They talked about her life, how, after 50, she felt like she wasn't invited to the parties anymore and that she felt invisible. And, and then Jay is kind of getting these ideas as well as he's talking to her, like, oh, now we've got a little bit of Dee Dee's backstory and we kind of know a little bit more. Because again, Jay and I are two straight white guys writing for you know, a older woman, and it's like, let's get more of her input in this and what
yeah,
that character is. And he just called me after that lunch, and he told Liz, he said, we're going to be in Baltimore in 3 weeks. Do you want to do it? And she was like, yeah, okay. She went home to her husband again, like, this guy, we're never going to hear from him again. And sure enough, 3 weeks later, we were in Baltimore. We went
yeah.
up to New York and we like read one scene together. But other than that, there was no rehearsal, there was no
Wow.
table read, there was no nothing. And the best part about working with Liz is we started on the tow lot scene because that was when we had that access. So
Yeah,
there's so many setups in that time. So Liz and I, we didn't have trailers. We had the Cadillac or the Mercedes, and so we sat in the Mercedes because it had heat, and we just got to know each other and talked about each other's lives and truly listened to each other in getting to know each other. That I think that is what ended up working so well in the movie. And
yeah,
Liz kept on telling Jay, she was like, I'm not in love with Michael too much yet, right? Like it's not like, and he's like, no,
yeah.
like you're like, because she's like, I just love this guy. And it's, so she had a lot harder time. Like she had to go more of a ride than me.
Sure.
I'm already head over heels trying to
Yeah.
make Petey happy.
Yeah, yeah, I know. It's just like I said, I love how the relationship progresses and it works. It really, really works. I always say, I think that stand-up comedy is one of the hardest jobs ever. Honestly, to put yourself up on that stage, be so vulnerable, not know if someone's going to laugh at you, whether it's improv or just straight up stand-up. How do you mentally prepare?
Well, I did a lot of sketch and improv growing, like, or in my 20s. That was like my life. And it was
Yeah.
like every night going up in front of sometimes three people in an audience, more people on stage than are in the audience.
Yeah, I can
And
imagine.
yeah, and just being like, well, okay, well, I guess I can try to make my scene partners laugh because it doesn't, but I think it's just like, I think the improv and sketch of it is the improv, at least. I like going up not knowing what's going to happen.
Yeah,
Like that's such a joy for me. And it's very much like life. You don't know what's going to happen, but if you are open to a lot of things, I think a lot more stuff will come your way.
yeah,
Uh, and when it comes to sketch, like that's a little bit more like stand up in the sense that, okay, this is a written idea. If it's not doing well and the audience feels it in the first minute, you still have 3 more minutes that you need to finish the sketch, and it's going to be a long 3 minutes.
yeah,
And,
yeah.
and I think, that scene in particular, we actually had to reshoot um, because we had it originally and it was a good scene, but I already was too successful at the top.
Right.
And I went into Dee Dee's Heart of Darkness and went and helped out her at Conway's. She had to save me. And Jay has said that it's like the hardest scene I think he's ever written because there's like 7 acts in the whole thing. And
Right.
um and we're just so happy with how it turned out because there was no improv in that. It was all, I think the only thing that was improvised was Liz saying "and yes" because she flipped it. So that was like the only thing that we kept in. But for the most
Yeah.
part, that was 100% scripted.
Yeah, no, it was great. And also just to say, a couple minutes, but I, like I said, this material obviously is so personal to you that your passion is there, you're into it, you brought such a great performance. But why do funny people make such great dramatic actors? Because I don't think it works the other way. Prove me wrong. I don't know, but
I,
what do you think?
I mean, my heroes growing up were Robin Williams, um, Bill Murray,
Yeah.
Chris Farley, Jim Carrey, and I mean Steve Carell. Like these are all like
Yes.
really phenomenal dramatic actors, and I think I think a lot of I think a lot of comedians get into comedy because of their home life being pretty tragic,
Mm,
or like, it's they didn't have the best upbringing, and they realize through laughter that they can kind of joke about these really dark things.
sure.
And I think because so many maybe comedians have been through a lot, they're able to pull that stuff into their acting. And you know, I I think we make the smallest things super important. Like in a sketch, you're so angry about someone taking your sandwich, and we can be so, you know, that I think we know how to get to the 11. So sometimes dramatic acting, you just need to get to like the 4 on screen, and it's like how to kind of get there.
Yeah.
And I mean, I credit Jay 100%. Like I've never done a performance like this in my life, where I got to be really funny and I got to be really dramatic, and it's my favorite thing in the world to do now. Because I love playing both those things in a movie.
Yeah.
And I honestly love them both equally. Like I'll always, because it's towards the end of the movie, and I always go into the movie theater and watch the end. I sit in that theater and watch the attic scene because I just think it's like one of my favorites that I've ever done.
Wow. Wow. Well, you did a really, really tremendous job in this. I kudos to you. I hope we'll see more. Are you now thinking about more stuff or are you just taking a little breather
Uh,
right now?
well, I'm definitely thinking about more stuff. I shot 2 other movies this past summer,
Great.
and I'm attached to another one, and Jay and I are working on stuff. So I want to work with Jay Duplass the rest of my life. So
I can't blame you. Honestly, can't blame you. Well, I look forward to your future stuff, but thank you for this. Thank you for your time today, Michael. You did a really great job. And like I said, this is a movie that it's going to sit with me for a while. And I hope you guys got a lot of crab, for lunch at craft service.
yes, yes, we did. Well, that was just the last night. The last night we got crab
Yeah,
cakes.
you have to
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
celebrate.
Exactly, exactly. Bonnie, it was so nice meeting you. Thank you so very much
Nice
for the
meeting
time.
you too, Michael. Have fun at the Q&A at the screening tonight. Have a good time.
I will. Thank you so much.
Okay, take care. Thanks for your time. Bye-bye.
See ya.